Hey, what is up guys? Gladiator here, welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. Okay, so some of you guys were asking me what happened to my Klee, why did I stop using Klee for a while. I haven't been using Klee for a long time, I do admit. Now there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, she's definitely gotten weaker, and that's because I have not upgraded her gears, right? And number two is because she already reached friendship 10, so which is why I seldom use her. So if you guys are not aware, or if you are new to the channel, Klee was my first fully built 5 stars. Alright, she was the second 5 star that I obtained. The first 5 star that I obtained on my account was a Chi, which conveniently is also at friendship 10. Yes, I have 2 lollies at friendship 10 at this point. So yes, the thing with Klee is, back then, you know what, I'm just gonna like silence her for a little bit. So back then, when I started building Klee, I did not optimize her artifacts correctly. The only thing that I got was the weapon, which was a battle pass weapon, Solar Pearl. Now, we're gonna talk about this weapon shortly after, but in terms of the artifacts, I've been using for the longest time ever 2 pieces of Gladiator, alright, and 2 pieces of Crimson Witch. Alright, and that is what I've been using on Klee for the longest time ever. Until recently. Now, I'm not sure if you guys follow me on my channel, I did obtain Deluxe, and then I went back to the Pyro domain, farm a bunch right there, and I got a lot, and I mean a lot of Lavawalker set. So that is when I decide, you know, to give my Klee a full upgrade. So therefore, I present to you my stronger version of Klee. Hopefully I can show you guys how strong she is in this video. But first, gotta kill the pigeons, and I can't do it with Klee, I have to use Ganyu for this. Boom. Alright, did we got all? Yep. Alright, apologies if you can hear the storm in the background because I think it's going to rain here soon. Alright, so let's jump into some Klee Showcase. What would be the best way to showcase my Klee? I guess we'll just jump into a couple of, you know, monsters in the open world. We're gonna talk about Klee for a little bit. Now, I did mention that I'm using Lavawalker on Klee, so that is the upgrade that I gave her. So this is how much damage I can do. That was a non-crit, by the way. So if I can get up to crit, it's about 4 to... Ow, that hurts. The charge damage though, the charge damage is where Klee really shines. Look at this. Boom! 11,000. So this is Klee with no buffs. And the problem with Lavawalker is you have to imbue the enemies with Pyro. So once they have Pyro on top of them, like this guy, then you can start seeing a significant boost of damage, right? If they don't have Pyro on them, that's where the big issue starts. Now obviously in certain cases, Crimson Witch set is going to be much more flexible. Because if you pair Klee with, let's say, Xingqiu for example, right? You can start to see that the reaction damage for Lavawalker might not be that high. So now this guy, I can never imbue this Abyss Mage with a Pyro because we are now standing on the water. So there will always be Hydro right there. But as you can see, the crit damage is not too bad. It's about 6k, right? Okay, so gonna apply Pyro again. Klee can do this. I guess we can spam a charge attack once in a while. Ow! Now of course, if you want, you can do a Vaporize in between with Xingqiu. That's one of my favorite things to do. But as in terms of trying to combo them together, obviously for reaction damage, Crimson Witch is gonna be better. Okay, so Ruin Guard. This is where I think things are gonna get interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys my combo with Klee right here. So as you can see, I don't think her damage is that bad. We are doing okay Vaporize damage. Alright. So I would say the damage is pretty alright. I wouldn't say it's a big downgrade. Remember, I'm going from 2-piece Gladiator, 2-piece Crimson Witch to a 4-piece Lavawalker. Of course, artifact substat is a thing that we can't really compare, and my Lavawalker tends to have better substats overall. Let's present to you my Klee's build. Now, weapon wise, Solar Pearl is the best weapon on Klee. Like, there's just no argument. I don't think there's any other Catalyst users right now in the list of characters that can fully utilize Solar Pearl. Even Klee herself might not be able to fully utilize this, but she's still the best candidate in my opinion. Now why is that? Because normal attack hits increase elemental skill and elemental burst damage. So every time she uses a normal attack, remember this is only normal attack, not charge attacks, this will increase her elemental skill, her E, or her elemental burst, which is her Q. Likewise, if she uses her E or her Q, you can boost your normal attack damage by 20% for 6 seconds subsequently. Now, as a Solar Pearl user, I usually don't do this to my Klee, alright? I don't go in, see an enemy, oh, then I do this, then I do this, then I use this, right? For Solar Pearl, Klee, you ideally do not want to do this. This is a bad way of using your Klee. Now, why is that? Because you don't benefit from the Solar Pearl buffs as much, right? Every time you use your elemental skill or elemental burst, it's going to boost your normal attack by 20%. This is normal attack damage by 20%. This is not like attack by 20%. This is normal attack damage, which is a very, very big boost. This will be calculated at the end, right? So this 20% will add on top of that. Now, if you throw out your 2 elemental skills, you're wasting this ability. That means you're limiting yourself to only 6 seconds. Whereas, if you chain it properly, you just use E, chain with a couple of normal attacks, and then use E again afterwards, you can extend these 6 seconds to 12 seconds, which is what I like on Klee, right? And a lot of other characters can't utilize this. Like for example, some players think that Solar Pearl is good on Ningguang. I don't think it's good on Ningguang because she don't have 2 charges on her skills. Now at least Klee has 2 charges on her skills, which can extend this to 12 seconds. Now that is huge, alright? Going into battles, you can see the damage is really significant. Let's see if I can demonstrate it to you guys first. I need to find an enemy that's not too squishy, that will not die. Alright, 6302. Now if I do this, alright, look at how much this will do. 7052. From 6302 to 7052. Alright, so that is a big increase. So that means after I throw out my Jumpty Dumpty right there, right? My Solar Pearl gives my normal attack that boost. 20% boost. Now that is a lot depending on how much you have on your artifacts etc, and of course this can be further boosted because now this Solar Pearl is refinement rank 1. Alright, you can go to refinement rank 2, 3, 4, 5 etc, right? So yeah, I would say that is a pretty crazy increase if you ask me. And the thing that's insane is that this weapon does not have a limitation. The uptime is like pretty much 100%. If you can wait, use your normal attack and then use your elemental skill or burst and then go back to here and then go back to there. Now, the only downside is, a lot of players have mentioned before, this doesn't increase charge attacks, right? I know that's a bit of a bummer, but I think that's a big trade-off. Her charge attack deals a lot of damage. 20% on top of that is going to help a lot, but of course it doesn't. So therefore, I think that will make Klee too broken, in my opinion. So that they have to limit it in some way. I think this is probably the best weapon on her by far. Now, if you do not own a Solar Pearl, I've seen players going for something like Eye of Perception. This is going to be pretty decent. Of course, the Frostbearer is going to be alright as well. I think these two, they are alright. Mappa Mare with Sith can be used for sure. If you use your Klee just to swap her in, get this 10 seconds boost, I think with Sith is going to be pretty decent on Klee because she benefits from attack, she benefits from elemental damage, and she benefits from elemental mastery. Whereas if you use with Sith for someone like Ningguang, she will only be able to benefit from the first two. Elemental mastery won't really give Ningguang that huge burst damage in that 10 seconds because you guys know how Geo reactions work, right? Geo doesn't react with other elements, but with Klee, you can sort of vaporize the enemy, and in case you get this Elemental Mastery 240, boom! Your charge attack is going to deal so much. So I think with Sith, Eye of Perception, and Frostbearer, these are all very good options for her as well. I would recommend the With Sith, of course, because it has crit damage right here, which is going to be much more beneficial than the attack percent. So that means you don't have to focus on crit damage as much. And on the artifact side of things, you can go for something like a crit rate circlet. Speaking of artifacts, let's jump into what I have. Alright, so as you guys know, I'm using Lavawalker on her, 4-piece Lavawalker. So let's start from the feather. So this is what I have on feather. I would say this is a very good feather. I did roll twice into the crit damage if I'm not mistaken. I rolled once into the energy recharge, and I rolled once into the flat defense, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I think it's just a one-time roll, so it's not too bad. So ideally, this is what you want to have on Klee. Energy recharge is going to be pretty good on her. In my opinion, you don't really need attack percent on her because crit rate, crit damage, this will give her the power spike boost. Energy recharge is going to be much more beneficial for Klee in the long run because if you guys are not aware, her sparks and splash has 60 energy cost. So if you want to be able to spam that more often, I would recommend having a little bit of energy recharge on her. Now let's go into the flower. So over here, you can see this is a little bit of a bummer. Unfortunately, I rolled a bit too much into the attack percent. I would have preferred for that roll to go into either crit rate or crit damage, but it is what it is. I think it only rolled once into crit damage percent, and it rolled once into elemental mastery and twice into attack percent. But it's still a pretty good overall flower, I'd say. Attack percent is not too bad. Going into the Sense of Eon, this is what I decide to use like an offset on her because I don't have any good Sense of Eon for Lava set in particular, which is, I don't know, it's so hard to farm a good Sense. It always have like HP, flat attack or some shit like that. But at least this one, it has crit rate, which I did roll once into. And then we have energy recharge right here. I think I rolled twice there. I didn't roll into defense percent, I rolled once into elemental mastery. So that's a good, right? That's a good plus because I did not roll any into the defense percent. But still, it is a defense percent. It could have been worse. It could have been defense flat. So checking out the pyro damage bonus, I am pretty lucky to be able to obtain this particular goblet. I think this is probably one of my highest crit damage goblet ever on any of my character pieces. This is insane. Alright, crit damage 27%. I'm so fortunate to not roll any into this flat attack, which I'm very thankful of. Alright, elemental mastery, I believe I rolled once here, and I rolled 3 times in the crit damage percent. I did not roll into attack percent, and the circle I decided to go into crit rate. Again, this is probably one of my best crit rate circlet. Look at this, 31% on crit rate, and I rolled fortunately enough times into the crit damage to get a 28% crit damage. Now I do have a crit damage circlet somewhere. Let me see if I can find it, which is this one right here. Okay, so we can do a comparison. So this is what I'm currently using, and this is what supposedly the other crit damage circlet that I have. Unfortunately, this did roll once into the flat HP, and it does have attack percent and energy recharge, but it doesn't have crit rate, which is a big bummer, right? So if I use this particular one, I think my crit rate will be a bit on the lower side. Now I do prefer my characters to have above 50% crit rate, and I try to maintain that 1:2 ratio. Klee's attack speed is pretty decent. I wouldn't say that she has very slow attacks. So ideally, trying to maintain that 1:2 ratio is going to be perfect. Alright, that golden ratio. So this is what I have stats wise on her. 1.7k attack. So in terms of the elemental mastery, I have 107. So 77% crit rate and 137% crit damage. Now this is not the perfect 1:2 golden ratio. Of course, I have a little bit too high of a crit rate. I would prefer for 70% crit rate and 140% crit damage. But again, substats is so difficult, you can't really choose what you want. So energy recharge at 130%, I would say this is pretty alright. I would prefer this to be 150, but again, you know, it's the best that I can do. Now, if you are someone who owns a Lavawalker set, somewhat, I would say this is going to be the best one on Klee, because Klee is a catalyst user. She will always be able to apply pyro status to the enemies, being a catalyst user. Now, this can still be situational against certain enemies that have their innate elements. Alright, so certain slimes, for example, electro slimes, they will always have that electro on them. So you want to be able to benefit from this, right? But based on my testing, alright, just to let you guys know, I've been testing 2 Crimson Witch, 2 Gladiators, and also 4 Lavawalker. I don't see much difference against those enemies. And the 35% that you get increase against enemies that you can apply pyro to them, that pretty much outweighs the damage decrease or the reaction damage that you don't get. You know, it's going to be situational. At the end of the day, right? If you are a free to play, just go with whichever set that you have a better substats of, right? It's so hard to tell someone to go for Crimson Witch or go for Gladiator when they have a Lavawalker this good, right? If you have very good substats on your Lavawalker set, I would say consider it, because at the long run, these substats that you have overall is going to impact most of your output damage. Alright, this amount of crit damage that you get. So don't worry too much about 4-piece Lavawalker or Crimson Witch set. Just go with whichever you think you have the better substats of. The damage difference, right, will not be that much. It's like maybe 5% to 10% at most. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think of Klee in general, and are you guys using Lavawalkers or are you guys using like Crimson Witch alongside with Gladiators? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.